Hello everyone, welcome back. It's Empyrion Galactic Survival Episode 22. I'm Enigmius, and today we're all over the place. You can see we've got this yellow blob of a ship. This is actually a small vessel that I made. It has no weapons on it. It's basically just a thing to get me from point A to point B quicker than I could with a hover vessel. That's been working really well because we have some things that we want to gather, some things that we want to finish off here and there. And I've come across 2 drones. I don't know where they came from, but they're not really a threat, and if they were to try and come after me, we could just land the ship and get out and shoot at it. I just couldn't be bothered trying to find a good place to put them on this particular small vessel. I just wanted to get out and do this stuff. So I actually recorded a bunch of footage of the various different things that we were doing in the pursuit of getting all these materials that I want, and you can take a look at it here. So in addition to all of that, I gathered some cobalt and some other things. Basically been all over the place. I'm waiting for all of it to process. I've got all of my constructors processing the ore that we pulled out of the ground, and then once we've got it down into ingots, then I can take stock of what we specifically have and make decisions about what more we need. We've got so much promethium. We had 8,000 promethium before I started processing it, so we're okay for promethium and converting most of it to large promethium packs, because we've got this ship over here that just keeps getting bigger and fatter and heavier, and we have to make sure that we have enough fuel for it. This is of course our capital ship, and you can see it's gotten quite a bit longer since the last episode. We're going to take a look at why, but I guess we could start at the front and work our way back, because I've been working on it pretty steadily. Whenever I needed a break from the gathering bits, I could fly back here and do a little work on it. You can see there's a different texture on the front here, and this isn't just a vanity texture. This is the combat steel blocks. I've upgraded all of the hardened steel on the front to combat steel, so that it's a little bit more resilient if we get into a head-on confrontation. Alongside the armored glass, I think we're in pretty good shape for being able to withstand a bit of damage before things go to hell. I've also raised the ship. It's now sitting higher on its landing gears than it was previously. These landing gears are static. You can't fold them up or put them away or do anything like that. But it was previously too low, and as a consequence, we couldn't get a gun underneath. But by raising it up one block worth, we can now fit this minigun turret underneath, which is going to be kind of our first line of automated defense when we land on a new planet and we're out of the ship doing various different things, building our base, scouting around, doing whatever. This is going to be the thing that's going to be able to swivel around and shoot at things and help us out, hopefully, as opposed to just doing it all ourselves. So I really wanted a gun underneath like this, so I made sure and went out of my way to make it happen, and now it's there, so that's cool. We'll probably end up upgrading the blocks that the landing gears are attached to the combat steel as well, just because I don't necessarily think it's going to be absolutely crucial, but you never know. And this section here is covering the core, so this spot here was where the previous landing gear was, so we're going to fill that in with combat steel as well. It's already all combat steel except for the spot where the blocks are missing. Very important part of the ship. We need to make sure that this is properly protected. And you can see going all the way back, the landing gears are much better spaced, and that was all for the purpose of making sure that this gun here had the field of fire as large as it could be. Realistically speaking, the main thing is it's not going to be able to do much shooting behind it. It can do some, but not a lot. Shoot between the legs, I guess. And the area in front is kind of blocking it a little bit, but it's actually a pretty narrow sort of blockage. And then it's got wide open access to either side. That hopefully is where it'll be the most useful. We'll just have to keep that in mind, that it won't be able to swivel around and shoot everything. And then back here, you can see more of the combat steel blocks that start here and move back. And the reason for this, I believe they added this to the game very, very recently, the extra large thruster. Previous episodes when we were building this thing, looking at the thrusters, we were looking at the large thrusters. And from that we were able to determine that those large thrusters were extremely large. Now unfortunately, you can't see the side of this thruster the way that it's installed, or I do the comparison with the drone again, but I can tell you that these things are absolutely enormous. And the benefit of these is that they're a little bit lighter in the power consumption relative compared to 4 large thrusters. We're comparing one of these guys to 4 large thrusters. It uses slightly less power, 30 megawatts instead of the 32 megawatts that would be used by 4 large thrusters. Weighs a little bit less, and it uses considerably fewer of the high-end materials. So by removing the 4 large thrusters and replacing it with this guy, we were able to reclaim a lot of the things like the advanced CPUs and stuff like that, so that we could build more guns, build more generators, and these different things that we really wanted to put in our ship without having to go find another source of materials to make these things. So that was a huge benefit, and we didn't sacrifice anything to get it. It's a win-win all the way around, which is fantastic and freaking enormous. Now, that's why we surrounded it with the combat steel blocks, is because this is currently the only thruster that we have that's providing us with forward movement. If this thing gets disabled or destroyed, we're kind of dead in the water. I mean, we can get by rotating and strafing and doing crazy things like that. Nobody wants to do that. That doesn't sound like a good time for anybody. But that's, you know, the thing. That's why we're very careful to put combat steel around it. Now, lastly, I'll just talk a little bit about plans that I want to address before we leave the planet. You can see we come up here. We've closed in the top now, so that construction area that we had is closed in, obviously. And we've got lots of room up top here to expand a few things before we're done. We still have to close in this area here, and it's equivalent on the other side, but I mean, that's a low priority thing. It will be functional, the structure that we close it with, because it's just another layer of armor around various different things, but it's not absolutely vital. What I want to do along the back here is put in a garden, a big garden, as big within reason. I mean, we could have this huge, massive garden that's like 2/3 the size of the ship as it is now, and that would be kind of ridiculous, because then we'd have to build around it. Not my idea of a good time, but at the same time, I like the idea of having a garden on my capital ship, so that when we land and we build bases in other planets, we don't have to worry about whether or not you can even grow a garden on them, and if you can, making all of the growing plots and planting them. And I don't dislike the process of doing the gardening, but if I can just do it once and then leave it and always have at least a trickle of vegetables, that's a pretty good deal. So that's what we're going to be doing off the back end here, is adding a garden. And I don't think we need to give it access to any kind of natural light or anything like that. They have the growth lights. We're still using the growth lights. You have to use the growth lights for what we've got outside here anyways. So I'm assuming that growth lights are enough to cause the garden to grow, but at the same time I want to put an armored glass canopy over the whole thing. I think when it's done it could look pretty cool. And then with all of that done and with everything closed in, all of the materials gathered, everything transferred out of our base onto this guy, then we should be in pretty good shape to head on out into the wild blue yonder and see what's waiting for us outside the gravity well of Akua. So the next episode depends on how long it takes to get out. It could be a little bit more just discussion about what we finished off and a little bit of a tour and then we'll be gone, or it could be another preparation video like this one. Hard to say, but if you want to be notified when I add that video, you can subscribe to my channel, you can follow me on social media. Links for social media are always in the information section below the video. Feel free to leave your comments and feedback. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.